All right. Going to go live in just a moment here. Just a few moments. Going to recap this weekend's fights. Just want to see if we get some people in here live first. But we had some good fights this weekend. We had some really good fights. We had some great finishes. And we're going to talk about all of them just a few moments. Of course, all of it was capped off by the picture you see on the cover there. Andraj choking out Amanda Lemos. Pretty awesome job there by her. Let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Justine, and welcome to the weekend recap for what is it, April 23rd, 22nd through the 24th of 2022. Like I said, we've got some great fights to cover. This weekend was really, really strong for the ladies. We had 3 major events headlined by the ladies this weekend, 2 Bellator and a UFC event. I'm not going to draw this out. I just want to get through these fights so I can get back to working on some review videos that I have working on. So let's get started. So first up, okay, I don't know what that's about. Let's try this again. All right, sorry about that. Seems my mouse was being interfered with. All right, so first up, we had one championship on Friday. One championship was at 156. One championship finally dropped the names. Looks like they're just going to go with numbers from now on. So 156 had one ladies MMA bout, had 2 ladies Muay Thai bouts, but we're going to focus on the MMA bout. At strawweight, which is 125 pounds for one, Cardoso defeated Ayaka Miura due to a standing TKO, 56 seconds of the second round. This was more like, honestly, this is more like an injury stoppage. Like the referee stopped the fight, but it was known, like you could tell that there was Miura was like injured. She was getting beat up on pretty good the first round. She was able to get Cardoso into her patent, her favorite scarf hold position, but wasn't able to do much with it because, well, Cardoso is a decent level of fighter. But so Cardoso was able to get out of it multiple times, and on the feet, she was just beating up on Miura. And then in the second round, something happened to Miura where it looked like her shoulder dislocated or she broke a collarbone, something. But I mean, she just grabbed her arm and was like, at one point after some striking, and the referee stopped it. So 56 seconds of the second round. Cardoso, brand new to one championship and already a possible title contender. Sucks for Ayaka Miura. That's 2 losses in a row for her, which hasn't happened to her before in one championship. On the bright side, the 125-pound Division One championship already has a new contender. So good things happen in one championship. Then we move on to Friday night. We had 2 ladies bouts. Why is it skip? Okay. We had 2 ladies bouts at LFA 130, both of them in the strawweight division. First up, Hillary Rose defeated Tiani Vali via submission due to rear naked choke. 3 minutes 35 seconds of the second round. Rose climbed to 6-4. Vali fell to 3. Excuse me, apologies. Fell to 3-4. Tiani Vali, she hadn't fought in, I think, close to 2 years before this bout. Well, she hadn't fought since May of 2021, but then before that, she hadn't fought since 2019. So she's only had like one fight in the last 2 years. And it kind of showed. It really showed. Like she just did not look like in that great a shape. Didn't look to be she was behind. Everywhere the fight went, she was just running behind Hillary Rose. Good job to Hillary Rose. She's a tough girl. I think that's actually her first win in LFA. You might remember Hillary Rose Best. She's the girl that Cheyenne Blissmus yelled at on the Contender Series. Then also at strawweight, Marnik Mann defeated Kelsey Arneson via split decision. Mann climbed to 5-0. Arneson fell to 1-2. So a girl coming in 4-0, taking on a fighter coming in at 1-1. This honestly looked like a wash on paper. This looked like LFA giving the local girl an easy win here. But Kelsey Arneson, to her credit, did not make this an easy fight. I gave Arneson the second round, if I recall correctly. Possibly could have given her the third round. I gave Mann the first round, but the third round really could have gone probably either way. But Marnik Mann getting it done. But yeah, hey, shout out to Kelsey Arneson. You know, the tune-up fight, the showcase fight came in and did not just go in there and lie down, which is nice to see. So good for her. Then on Friday, also on Friday night, Bellator 278, headlined by the Flyweight Championship, with Liz Carmouche defeating Juliana Velasquez 4 minutes 47 seconds of the fourth round via TKO due to elbows from crucifix. And I'm still mad about this stoppage. I did not agree with it at all. I think the referee stopped it at the worst time to stop it. Velasquez was up 3-0 on two of the judges' scorecards. Now, granted, that has nothing to do with the stoppage. It was just an all around, to me, I thought it was a bad stoppage. Velasquez was caught in a crucifix. But Carmouche's ground and pound was weak as heck. Like, she might as well just been playing patty cake, baker's man with Velasquez on the ground there. Her ground and pound, those elbows were weak. First off, she was just kind of like rubbing her with her forearm, and then she started dropping some elbows. But at the time, as soon as she dropped the elbows, Velasquez had managed to free her left arm and was about to start defending the elbows. And that's when the referee, Mike Beltran, stopped the fight. It's like he stopped it at the worst possible moment. I just do not agree with the stoppage. Thankfully, Scott Coker, the president of Bellator, seems very open to having a rematch for this fight because he admits he did not agree with the way the fight was stopped and the timing of it. It was just not a good stoppage. Liz Carmouche wants nothing to do with Velasquez. She says, "I want to do new things." Well, yeah, I would want to do new things too if I was down 3-0 and got an arguable gift horse. So hopefully we'll get that rematch and then we can really settle who the better fighter is. Moving on to Saturday, we had Bellator 279. So we had two Bellator events this weekend. The first ladies' bout was a featherweight bout with Diana Silva defeating Janae Harding via unanimous decision. Silva climbed to 10-7. Harding fell to 6-6. As a Janae Harding fan, this fight was very frustrating to watch. I was disappointed with Janae. Still a fan, but really disappointed. She just wouldn't let the hands go. Silva, to her credit, landing counters the entire fight. And that's because Harding would just throw single strikes, and Silva would counter with, either one strike or go 1-2 with the counter. And Harding just had a hard time dealing with those counters. She just did not have an answer for it. And it was really disappointing to see because I think had she started throwing a little bit more and actually throwing some combinations, it would have been a little harder for Silva to get those counters going. Also, another big thing, disappointing thing that Harding did, she was working the low kicks in the first round and then completely abandoned them in the second round. Now, Harding did pick up the volume a little bit in the second round, but wasn't actually enough to win it because she still wasn't like throwing in volume. She was just kinda, like, throwing, like, one shot at a time, trying to pick her shots, but every time she threw, Silva answered with, like, at least 1, usually 2 strikes, and was landing them good. And then by the 3rd round, it was Silva who had picked up and started landing low kicks that were bothering Janae Harding. So it just seemed like Harding just got, like, discouraged when, Silva was landing the counters, had no answer for them, and just got more and more discouraged as the fight went on. It was just really disappointing to see as a Harding fan. For Diana Silva, she saved her spot in Bellator with that one, 'cause she had lost 2 in a row. Now, she lost a contentious split decision to the former champ Julia Budd in her debut, but then she got TKO'd by Arlene Blencowe in her 2nd fight. So, she really needed this win, and she was she was absolutely ecstatic, like dancing, after the win. For Janae Harding, it's back to the drawing board again. And also on the main card at flyweight, Justine Kish defeated Elima Mcfarland via unanimous decision. Kish climbed to 8-5. Mcfarland fell to 11-2. Did not see this one coming. Not only was Kish getting the better of the striking, which I kind of figured she would. She's a better striker than Mcfarland. Kish was getting the better of the grappling. She was proving very hard to take down for Mcfarland, and even was the one getting the takedowns multiple times throughout the fight. Now, let me see if I can bring it up here. It seems that Mcfarland injured her neck sometime in the fight because she was taken to the hospital afterwards. And I think it might have happened in the 1st round. It's hard to say. But if she was injured, it's because of the work that Justine Kish did. So there's Elima Mcfarland on the stretcher there, getting taken to the hospital after the fight. But that's all on the work of Justine Kish, who, look, I'll admit, I thought Kish was going in there just straight up as a tune-up fight. That's basically what it seemed like Kish was there to do, was there to be a tune-up fight for Ilima Mcfarland. Ilima hadn't fought since she lost her title, had knee surgery afterwards, and this just seemed like Kish was on a 3-fight losing streak, lost her last 2 in the UFC, lost her Bellator debut to Deanna Bennett. Seemed like she was being brought in to be a fairly easy win back for Mcfarland in her home state of Hawaii. That entrance was really nice, but man, was it drawn out. And I even tweeted out, I said, imagine knowing that you're being brought in there as a tune-up fight and then having to basically sit there in a cage and wait while your opponent's extra long, walkout to be done. I was like, man, I felt bad for Justine Kish having to go through that. And then she won. I mean, she absolutely won. There was no question by the end of that fight that she won. Like, I thought maybe the judges would have given Mcfarland the 1st round, maybe, but I don't think. I'd have to look at what the decision, what the scorecard said. So it was one count of 30-27 and two 29-28. Don't have Mike Onzuka was a 30-27. Not sure what rounds were scored for Mcfarland by the other 2 judges. But hats off to Justine Kish. Came in there and said, I'm nobody's tune-up fight. And beat the former champ in front of her hometown crowd. So good for Justine Kish. For Mcfarland, this is a tough loss. I mean, she lost her title, and leading up to that fight, she was talking about possibly retiring soon. take some time off, get surgery. Seems like she had been reinvigorated, said this was actually the easiest weight cut of her entire career, and then comes in and loses a fight that she was meant to win. We, it's hard to say. Like, we might have seen the last of Elima Mcfarland. I don't know. But I mean, the way she was talking before losing the title made me think that, yeah, she was definitely going to retire soon. I mean, she was talking about it. She might be she seemed like she came into this bout reinvigorated, like the pressure was off of her now because she wasn't the champ. Um, she felt reinvigorated, I guess. But now we'll have to see after this one. We'll have to see. I mean, she might retire. Maybe she should. I, I don't want to see her retire, but it wouldn't surprise me if she did just go, yeah, I'm ready to go. Then in the main event, we had the rematch where Cyborg successfully defended her title against Arlene Blencowe, Featherweight Championship. Cyborg climbed to 26-2. Blencowe fell to 15-9. Fight was very different from the first fight. It looked like it was going to go much the way of the first. In the first round, Cyborg got Blencowe down, managed to take Blencowe's back, but Blencowe survived. And, there was never any doubt that Cyborg was going to win this bout. But Blencowe, she gave a good account of herself and really took it to Cyborg. I think she might have actually hurt Cyborg at one point. I can't quite remember that well because I was half asleep by this time. This fight was on. This fight was on late. This was a late main event. But every judge, or no, Cyborg lost a point in the first round due to kneeing Blencowe when she had one knee and one hand on the ground. Had she not lost that point, had they not subtracted that point, she'd have won a clean sweep 50-45. I mean, as it was still a clean sweep. It's just that she had a point taken away. I'll give Cyborg credit. She didn't go in there and just brawl her way to a win. She didn't go in and just try to swarm her way to a win. She fought a smart fight here. She fought a smart fight. She was patient, took her time, you know, made sure that the timer shots, made sure that what she threw counted. She's not the Cyborg of she definitely did not fight like the Cyborg of old. Didn't fight like the Cyborg that fought Julia Budd for sure. Not sure what it was, but Cyborg, I got to give her credit. She fought smart here. She didn't just try to like swarm her way and goon her way to a win like she has for most of her wins. But and got to give credit to Blencowe too. She went from losing by getting finished in the first fight to making it to the end in the second fight. So it wasn't a bad fight. And you know me, I'm not one to heap praise on Cyborg. Usually it's quite the opposite, but I'll give Cyborg credit here. She fought well and she fought smart. Then we had a couple of fights pushed back to the post limbs because it's 2022 and Bellator still having post limb fights because Bellator is run by idiots. But in the first one of those at flyweight, Sumiko Inaba defeated Whitney Powles via KO did a left hook minute and 22 seconds of the first round. I love me some Sumiko Inaba. She's 4-0 now, finished all four of her opponents, looks better every fight, has the power in her hands, genuine power in her hands. I mean, just took Powles was out when she went down. She was out. And Inaba followed up with some shots. Didn't need them, but still got the job done. The only thing I really want to see now from Inaba is I'd like to see how she goes the longer the fight goes. Now, her second fight against Christina Katsakis, it did go into the third round. So we know that she can get in there into that third round. I just need to see her against an opponent that will really, really push her. Like that's the first real. That's a real test of a young fighter because I don't want to see her lose necessarily, but I want to see how Inaba does when she has to go the distance. I'd like to see her get a good step up, like get an opponent with a winning record because Piles was 3-4 going into this one. So now we got to give her a decent opponent with a winning record and see how she does against an opponent that will like really push her all the way. One person I'd like to see her fight against would be, let me pull up the rankings here real quick, in Bellator, because she's already calling. She said, "Hey, I've won four. I'm 4-0 now in the promotion, and she thinks she deserves a ranking number. Let's see her against Valerie Loreda. Loreda is 4-1, and Nava's 4-0. Put them against each other. Why not? Look, a loss for either fighter is not going to set them back. I think that'd be a good fight. Inaba versus Loreda. I think that'd be good. Both of them have heavy hands, so chance of a knockout pretty high. Then in the other ladies post-limb bout, at a 120-pound catchweight bout, Randy Field defeated Mariah Miller due to submission via rear naked choke, 48 seconds of the second round. Miller started out doing well in this bout, and then as it went on, Field just took over and just showed that she was just a better fighter overall here. And then got the takedown early in the second round, got to the back of Miller. Field got the win. So lost her debut in Bellator to Sumiko Inaba, returns here and gets a win over a local girl in Mariah Miller. Well, Miller lives in Hawaii. I don't know if you consider her a local or not, but she's not from there, I don't think. But nice win there for Randy Field, who climbed to 3-1. Mariah Miller fell to 1-2. So that's it for Bellator. So final event of the weekend. UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Andrade. First up, at flyweight, Macy Barber defeated Montana De La Rosa via unanimous decision. Barber climbed to 10-2. De La Rosa fell to 12-7. So the way Macy Barber fought in this fight is really how she needs to fight every fight. She didn't waste her time on the outside, striking from a distance or trying to strike from a distance, throwing stuff that missed by a mile. No, she got on the inside and you used her size, used her weight, used her frame, and used her heavy hands and elbows to beat up on De La Rosa. That's how Barber should fight every fight. I think that when she fought Alexa Grasso, that was a little bit too much too soon. Ferry was too much too soon as well. Time is going to tell how good Macy Barber is because right now I think she's at like number 14. She fought De La Rosa, who's never really been able to break into the rankings. I think the highest she's gotten is 15. So this was a good bit of a recovery fight for Barber. Now she was coming off a win over Miranda Maverick, but a lot of people thought she deserved to lose that. But Barber fought really well here, and she fought smart. And I think that's because this is her second fight training at Team Alpha Male, and Team Alpha Male, like, they're good at getting fighters to a certain point, and I don't think they've gotten Barber to that point yet, which is great because it means that Barber is going to keep on improving under them. So that's good to see. Excuse me. She still has potential. For De La Rosa, bad matchup for her. She doesn't have. I think De La Rosa is honestly the better fighter technically, but she doesn't have her athleticism level isn't able to match up with Barber's. And with Barber having improved, it, it just wasn't going to be a good matchup for De La Rosa. So we move on to the final fight we're going to talk about. Strawweight main event. Jessica Andrade defeats Amanda Lemos due to submission, via submission due to standing arm triangle choke, 3 minutes, 13 seconds of the first round. Andrade climbed to 23-9. Lemos fell to 11-2. I just recorded my review of this fight right before I started the stream. Got to go and edit it and then upload it. But I mentioned in there that Andrade's abilities now just cannot be denied. Like, she is a great fighter. Like, a lot of people are really stingy with what they consider to be a great fighter. Andrade is a great fighter because here she is. She's over 30 fights into her career, and she keeps on improving. Keeps on improving. I mean, it made history with this submission. First ever standing arm triangle in the UFC. Now, granted, there's a reason for that. Most fighters aren't going to get caught in it. Lemos just not seem to know what she was doing there. Lemos, to her credit, was doing good early on. She was keeping Andrade on the outside. Utilized her low kicks well, her jab, throwing the kicks. We didn't get to see any of the kicks up the middle like we saw against Angela Hill, but she was doing some good kicks well. And then Andrade caught one of them and held on just long enough to get Lemos off balance a little bit, and Andrade pushed forward, chased Lemos down to the cage, and then that's when Andrade, kind of ducked under the arm, left arm of Lemos, and latched on that arm triangle choke with the quickness. I mean, the speed that Andrade locked on that submission was just a thing of beauty. So Andrade makes a successful return to the strawweight division. Lemos is going to have to take a step back, or at least a step. I mean, I don't think she's going to lose her number. She might go down one spot in the rankings just because Andrade is going to return somewhere in the top 10. So she might drop from like 10 to 11. We'll see. But not necessarily a setback for Lemos. My thing with Amanda Lemos is I just don't think she has what it takes to really stand with like the top fighters in this division. I mean, she had a lot of trouble with Angela Hill, barely squeaked by Angela Hill. And Hill's never beaten a ranked fighter herself. So we'll have to see. I mean, Lemos is going to have to make some real improvements in a short amount of time because she's already 34 years old. She doesn't have a lot of time left. But she's got to make some real improvements, and she's got to make them quick. So for Andrade, she's right back there in the mix, in the title fight mix. She called for the winner of the Zahn versus Joanna rematch. I think that's a good one. But I think you could easily slot her in against the loser of Rose versus Esparza 2. Also be a good match. Jessica Andrade continues to impress and continues to show improvements. Over 30 fights in her career. And also, she's like the only women's fighter in the UFC to have wins in 3 divisions. So good on her. So that's really all I have. Does anybody have anything in the chat they want to say? If not, we're going to go ahead and close this up. So, If you're watching this on a replay, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like button on the stream. And while you're at it, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.